Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. On this Thursday night edition, I am your host, Paul Tripoli. Coach Tripp to my players, where I'm back in the arena after 6 years off, as you can tell by my voice, for I've already gone to 3 practices and lost my voice. Along with Coach Haas, my good buddy.
Peace.
Coach Mark Hobley, 20 years at PHS. Adron Chambers is our special guest today. Yay, Adron.
What's going on,
2011 World Series champ from St. Louis Cardinals. Hey, we're giving you a little bit of love here for the PHS Tigers, because now we're all PHS
We're Tigers.
Exactly. I like that. I like
to the family.
I like to hear that you over there, Coach, too, by the way.
Thanks, Coach. I'm
I'm
really having a good time. I'm going to keep a journal of this season, and we're starting from football 101 age.
Of course. Listen.
Yeah, fundamentals, until you get so bored.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about it is that's exactly, I feel like, what Pensacola High School needs right now. They need to go. Matter of fact, I was talking to y'all AD over there.
Terrence.
Yeah, exactly. And he basically was saying the same. He said he really likes what's going on over there, but it's because it's getting back to football. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what, everybody knows Pensacola High School has always been when it comes to football, the number one representation of football. You know what I'm saying? In the city. At least that's what I believe.
Come on, it was the first high school in the state of Florida to play a football game. Yeah, it's got great tradition from years past in the 50s, 60s, and Coach Bennett you guys winning the state title in 2009. There's the ring right there. Coach Hobbs is a coach.
Hey, Adron had a big part in getting us up to that point.
Yeah.
We might have played in one more state championship if the Hurricane Ivan.
Hurricane Ivan, man.
We missed 19 days of school, and I think we lost 2 games that year. And one was
the one was in the regular season, and then in the playoffs,
and then one in the playoffs. But that hurricane probably cost us a trip to the state championship, and it probably cost us 1 state championship. Because you know how it is. Once you get there, it happens for you.
Yeah. Well, Age, let's start from the beginning, man. When you're a kid growing up here, your uncle, I think, was the director of Warrington Youth Ballpark.
Right.
Let's start from there and talk about how near and dear your youth and your high school teammates are compared to even your World Series champion, because of the different dynamics. You always go back to your childhood. Talk about your youth experience.
It's a great question, Coach. I appreciate that too, man. It's crazy because I'm still friends with so many of those guys still to this day. And my most memorable times on the field were in Little League, playing in Warrington Ballpark, my mom driving us over there, me spending the night at my friend's house. And I'm seeing it right now with the kids that I'm coaching right now, man. Just the camaraderie and the relationships I'm able to build, man. Still to this day, whenever we do get together, my family, it's like those are the memories we like to talk about. You know what I mean? We like to talk about how it was at Warrington, and my mom having to pick all of us up, or me having to ride with my uncle, or spend a night at my uncle's house to get to the field to be able to go play a game and still get back to school. And you know what I mean? Just those memories, man. And being able to have my uncle as the president, most definitely. I mean, you would think that it would be a little easier, but, he wasn't playing no games, you know what I'm saying? So, he made sure that, we got our work in too, and wasn't just looking at it as, uncle over here running things so we can do what we wanted to do. So we had a responsibility too. So I think that was most definitely, just the whole experience over there was most definitely like a humbling time for me, because, that's what you need when you're playing baseball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Baseball is going to humble you. And he most definitely made sure that I was humble over there playing at home. Sure.
Well, talk about being humbled. And we talked about this last year when you came on the show. The influence of older people, bigger, faster, stronger kids, a lot of times siblings, right? Yeah. My older brothers, I would have never made it to the league without my older brothers. Talk about your older brother's influence, and God rest your sister's soul. Your sister passed away when you were little.
Yeah, man. My brothers are probably when it comes to the most influential people were my brothers. You know, I had my older brother Keith. He was like the one that was really fast, so I always want to be fast like him. You had my big brother Ron, and he was like I don't want to say the quiet guy, but he was the best dressed, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So I always wanted to be clean. And then you have my brother Steve, which Coach Hobley know, my brother Kool-Aid. He was more so like the technician, man. He was the sports guy. He knew every stat there was. He knew in every sport just about too. So I was able to grab a little bit from every one of my brothers, and that's just from my mother. But I was able to grab everything from them, especially my competitiveness too, because I was little brother. They were all older than me, so they didn't give me no slack. You know what I mean? They were hanging me on the wall, dunking on me, tackling me, hitting me hard, punching me in my face. Like they was making me tough. You know what I'm saying? Which you know, not nowadays people might say something about that, but I think it was most definitely a big part of my childhood that made me compete. Man, when I went to go play with guys that were my age, it was like nothing because I had already got beaten up at home.
Right.
It was
exactly. You and I had a lot of the same experience in
man.
that regard. That's why I've got a little brother theory.
See that coming from an only child, I never had that. The only time I ever competed, I was
older kids.
10 years old. I was 10 years old when I first got on a team, and that was baseball. Yeah. And I think if I would have had some older brothers,
right, you would have been.
That would have just given me just that little bit of edge that I needed.
All right. Well, let's take it to high school. PHS, you're a great player in both sports, all state, and I guess you were deciding to play baseball, football. I don't know, but talk about the great influence at Sylvester Croom. Even though it didn't work out, you learned a lesson. We're going to talk about your book in just a few minutes, but I'm sure there's a chapter in there like Coach Croom actually said to you is just a chapter in your book.
No doubt, most definitely. And I got to go back to high school because, I got my coach here. Coach Hobley was the first. To be honest with you, I still remember being in the outfield and throwing. We had to make throws to third base from right field. And I came and I threw a missile. And I'm a freshman. You know what I'm saying? And when after I threw it, he just told me to go in. He was like, "Don't even throw no more. Just go on in." Because we didn't have many guys. Don't get me wrong. We had the DJs, we had the people that can play. But coming up with Coach Bielich and being able to be on those travel teams, baseball was kind of embedded in me. I was learning a lot more than the guys that I was playing with, which we were just natural athletes. But Coach Hobley seen something in me that was that I didn't even see in myself. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it came to baseball. Baseball was just my secondary sport. I love football. You know what I'm saying? Football,
right.
Even to this day.
He was really, really good. We're talking about an all-state guy in football now.
No doubt.
The guy starts at Mississippi State as a corner freshman. So we're talking about
elite athlete. We're
talking about 1% of the 1%ers.
Right. Dual athletes that are elite. Because I'm going to get to the story about when you met Dion and what he said to you. But and both Dion and Bo Jackson were the elite dual athletes. But Adron, talk about that dynamic when you went to Mississippi State.
Well, the transition, you know what I'm saying, from high school to college was most definitely a challenging one. You know what I'm saying? Because, my roommate, I still remember, having Quentin Wesley or Calvin Wilson. They were way bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? They were like 6'6", 350, and I'm over here, 5'9", 180 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here wondering. That's soaking wet, by the way. It's
right,
like
soaking wet.
What am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? What am I doing here? So that most definitely was an eye-opening kind of moment for me. But at the same time, football is football, right? So being able to have guys like Coach Croom, that was always about accountability, no excuses. You got to get the job done or you ain't going to play. And I love that type of attitude because, again, I came from the Mike Bennett's. I came from the Coach Hobleys where they were the same way. Like, all right, if you don't get the job done, go sit over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want guys that want to play football. And that's what I wanted to do. And Coach Croom, coming from the NFL, most definitely embedded that in all of us. He embedded that in all of us, accountability. Take care of what you need to take care of and everything else will work. and that's how I approached it. I didn't look at the size or, you know, if the guys were faster than me, because remember, I tore my ACL in high school. So I came in with a lot of doubt already in my mind, because, you know, I wasn't as fast. I needed my speed. Remember, I was 100 and, you know, I was a baby. So I needed that speed. So he embedded a fight in me that I needed at the time, you know what I'm saying, to be able to compete on that level, most definitely.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about that transition and the intensity and the wonder. Oh my gosh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw varsity come out in Alabama. I said, "What? Holy shit! What the hell am I doing here?
Right.
You know, what am I doing here?"
Right.
But the intensity is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to bring to PHS. Our intensity is way, 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 way too low. So I'm trying to figure out ways to bring high intensity to the practices. But you talk about intensity. Tell the story about when you went over to Coach Kroom's house for dinner and saw that picture of intensity on his wall.
Yeah, man, it was a picture. He invited me over to his house. And this was during a time where I was still finding myself. I was making that transition from offense to defense. Because I was a quarterback in high school. I love having the ball in my hand, and then I had to make that transition and start tackling guys and hitting guys. But I didn't mind it, you know. But at the same time, I was a pretty boy. I ain't want to get hit. You know what I'm saying? So he invites me over. Go ahead.
Not to stop you, Adron, please. How many yards did you account for your senior year?
Oh man, Coach, you're gonna make me have to remember, man. It was a bunch of them. You know what I mean? Especially having been the full-time quarterback only my senior year, because we had Alex Gordon. Alex Gordon was a phenomenal athlete. Went to Vanderbilt. Right. You know what I'm saying? Very smart, very intuitive. When it came to sports, he was like the man. So I had to play behind him. So that senior year was really like my year that I had to kind of make some of myself. You know what I mean? So yeah, I ran for a lot of yards. I threw for a lot of yards too.
Yes, you know, over 2,000. He accounted for over 2,000 yards.
Yeah, big time. 30 over.
So you didn't play DB? You didn't play DB in high school?
No, I mean, we had a receiver that, you know, we needed somebody to can y'all hear me? I know we're breaking up.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you now.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, we had a receiver like Fred Rouse for Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? I remember him, and Coach Cowher would be like, "Hey, this week we're gonna put you on certain plays on defense to guard him," or something like that. You know what I mean? So on certain plays I would play defensive back, but it wasn't my main position. I didn't care to get hit. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't care to get hit. Man.
We didn't want him to hit.
I wanted to juke somebody. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah,
we didn't want him to get hit.
But yeah, so going into Coach Kroom's house, man, we had dinner, we talked, but on his wall, he was with Bear Bryant, you know what I'm saying, the great, you know, and I'm not gonna say I actually knew Bear Bryant. Obviously, I didn't know him personally, but I didn't know his story. Coach Kroom really embedded that story about Bear Bryant in my head. But he had a picture, and it was a picture of the whole sideline and Coach Kroom. They were all focused in on the goal line. They were like on a 1 or the 2 yard they were finna score. And they were all so focused, and he got that picture painted because everybody on the sideline, it wasn't one guy on the bench, it was the coaches, everybody was focused in. And he kind of reminded me of, like, that's the type of team that he wanted. He wanted guys that were 100% down with what we had going on. Not focusing on Florida, not focusing on what's going on at home. You are your teammate's brother, and we are all in on this play right here. And
man, I know what that picture, that painting. I know exactly what painting you're talking about.
Yeah, man. It was one of those ones where when you look at it, it kind of gave you chills a little bit, because you like, you know what I'm saying? Wow, you can just see the intensity in the picture. You know what I'm saying? Like
every single coach, everybody. Player, even the trainers. Yeah, every single one.
I think the dogs and the cats was watching it. Everybody was intense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a really cool, and it was a big picture too. It wasn't no small picture. It was a big picture. So it really like gave you some kind of, you know, perception, you know, on how it was at Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Alabama. I can only imagine how it was. I bet you any money it was very competitive.
Oh, I can tell you how it was.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Hey, Doug Martin and Bill Hamilton, when you left Mississippi State and you wanted to get back into baseball, talk about the influence that Doug Martin and Bill Hamilton had on you at Pensacola State College, how you started playing ball and the scouts started recognizing you, and talk about that experience and what a blessing that was. And how, did that take up a chapter or two in your book?
Oh, big time, big time. I know when it comes to Doug Martin. Matter of fact, I just seen a video of him. I think this is his 16th year
Yep.
of
Northwest
coaching.
Florida, yeah.
Man, you talking about guys that they didn't know that I would be a major league ball player. Again, they were, and this is what I always tell my players that I coach. I always tell them, you never know who's watching. Number one, you never know who's watching, but at the same time, respect all your coaches. You know what I'm saying? But because you're not gonna like all of your coaches. They're not gonna always say things that's you agree with, but you respect them. You respect them. And with Doug and Coach Martin and Coach Hamilton, they were the type of guys that demanded it. They demanded you to respect them. And I respect them because of that. Because if it wasn't for Doug Martin and Coach Hamilton coming into my home and saying, Adron, we're going to give you an opportunity to come play with us, I maybe I would never have been a Major League Baseball player. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So those two most definitely, first of all, have a chapter in my book, but they most definitely played an important impact in my life because they really took a chance on me that nobody else came to me about baseball after that Mississippi State stuff. You know what I mean? Nobody else was looking, for me to come and play baseball. Everybody was still thinking about football. So was I. You know what I mean? But they seen something just like Coach Bielich. I mean, I remember so many times he would tell me, "You playing the wrong sport, Adron." You know what I'm saying? You need to stop playing football. So being able to have them, really, like focus in on what they thought could help me, it most definitely contributed to my success for real.
Hey, what a lot of people don't understand is Adron only played 3 years of high school baseball.
Right.
He never played his senior year of high school.
Right.
He got hurt. He got hurt
toward his ACL, right?
ACL in the what was that little East-West football game?
Oh, okay.
And he was carted off the field in an ambulance.
Yeah, man.
And the next time he went on the field, it was in the SEC. And he was a starting cornerback at Mississippi State. That's who you're talking to.
Yep.
And so when he stopped playing football,
they stuck with you during
exactly.
Yeah, man. That was, and that's another reason why. And I should give Coach Blake some love too. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Coach Blake most definitely, man, because he was like a one-man show for real. But that's why, man, like people, that's why I had to write this book. Because people look at my life and they say, congratulations on the World Series and man, you the man. It's like, no, I owe this to a lot of these people, that came. The story was way back there. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like Coach Kroom, he could have easily not kept me that scholarship. You know what I mean? I told my ACL in a game that he asked me not to play in. He asked me not to play in that game.
Oh,
yeah, because I had already.
I never knew that.
Oh my gosh, he still forgave you.
Yeah.
Hold up,
exactly.
Adron, I remember the day. Adron, you got invited to the California-Florida game that day?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Dog.
I forgot.
Listen,
he did.
Coach Kroom asked me, he was like, listen, you already have a scholarship in football. Just go play baseball. Well, I still remember, and this ain't Dan Shugard's fault, but I remember Dan Shugard coming up to me and was like, look, Adron, it'll be nice if you, because they had just brought back that All-Star game. They were like, man, look, it'll be nice if you played in that All-Star game just for a little bit, just to kind of, you already got a scholarship. People recognize that. We can kind of get some love for the game. And I was like, me, I wanted to play anyway. I didn't even tell Coach Kroom I was playing. But like a week before that, when I found that I was invited, he was like, look, don't play in that game. Don't worry about it. You already have a scholarship. You don't have to do that. just go enjoy your baseball season. Let's see, because, you know, again, I was still projected to go. That's during that time, it was like I wanted to play football, but Coach Blake and everybody was still like, and Coach Belich was like, you gonna get signed in baseball. You know what I'm saying? So you can sign this scholarship to Mississippi State, but you gonna get signed in baseball. You know what I'm saying? So that was the kind of the idea of, listen, yeah, you can think you going to Mississippi State, but you really gonna go play baseball after people see what you can do.
And probably at that time, your thinking was, this might be the last football game I ever play. And
that's right. Yeah, I never thought about that.
If he plays his senior year of baseball, he gets drafted. He would never go to Mississippi State.
Oh my gosh, so what an interesting dynamic.
That's what people don't understand.
Antoine Jones, we had Pop was playing in that game. We had so many of my friends that also were invited. So I was like, man, this might be the last time I've ever see them. You know, Coach Holiday coached in the game. It was like, man, I'm not gonna miss. And then
anybody want to play.
Listen, Coach Holiday, he said, listen, you're only gonna play 2 series. That's it. You're gonna play 2 series and it's gonna be over. And I was like, I bet. That's even more perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be able to just play a little bit and then I get out of there. You know what I mean? And at the end, and this is also in the book, but at the end, man, I got back in the game, and yeah, that's when everything went crazy. You know what I'm saying? He brought me back in the game. I scored 2 touchdowns, or we scored 2 touchdowns. I threw 2 touchdown passes.
He did.
I came back in the game. I came out. We were losing 21-14, and I came back in the game, and yeah,
tied it up.
Yeah, that's when. No, we didn't even tie it up. I was running down to tie it up, and that's when my ACL situation happened. But people got to go read the book. I want people to read.
Yeah. What's the name of the book, Adron?
The book is called From Pensacola to the World Series. So basically, it's just the story. A lot of people. I tell my mom, not just my mom, but I know a lot of people gonna be like, "Why you ain't put me in the book?" It was just it's just the story of, you know, I talked a little bit of about my childhood, but it's just a story about, you know, my little bit of my childhood, but for me making it to the World Series. So my high school, going through Mississippi State, going back to Pensacola Junior College. Like, I really kind of give you a story because we really want to make a movie out of this thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be, it's a very interesting book, man. Very interesting book. And I wrote it myself.
3 years in the minors. 2008, 2010, actually got your first trip to the major leagues, I think, in 2009. Mm-hmm. But talk a little bit about that meeting with Deion Sanders, who told you something that some other coaches told you earlier.
Oh, definitely. Well, that was like right after the World Series, right? And Marshall Faulk, Steve Mariucci, and Deion, they were all on the sideline. And we are up in, me, Yadier Molina, we all up in the suites, right, watching the game. I think Drew Brees was playing, I think. And so I looked down and I see him. Deion standing tall. I didn't know he was that big. I looked down and said, I got to go see him. I have to go see him. Like, that's one of the guys that I looked up to, you know?
Yeah.
And so they got the person that was holding our room, took me down. You know, we went through all the security, all to the bottom. End up going, I never been down to the bottom down there at the Rams Stadium. It was beautiful. But I walked up on Deion, and I had my hand out, grabbed my hand and shook my hand. I'm like, how you doing? My name is Adron Chambers. He looked at me like, oh, I know who you are. And at first I was like, what? You know me? You know what I'm saying? Like, that just reminds you of like how smart these guys and how much they pay attention. You know what I'm saying? But he was like, you know, I know who you are. I was like, you know me? And he was like, yeah. So I was like, okay. Bet. Hold on one second. This is my mom. 1 second.
Okay.
Hello? Yes. Wow. I'm in the middle of an interview right now.
You gotta talk to mom.
Okay. Bye-bye. She left the stove. She left the stove on. She was trying to see if I needed it. She gonna go back and take care of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. But she Deion was like, you know, I know who you are. I was like, Deion, look, I play football too, man. I want to know if I should play football and baseball like you did. And he looked at me like square in my face and said, you doing the right thing. Forget that football now. You playing the right sport. And then I hear him talk about it in an interview not too long ago, a couple of years ago. He said that, and it was just like reiterating what he said to me years ago about how baseball. First of all, how tough baseball is, but how I don't think he said he should have only played baseball, but baseball most definitely is the way to go. That's kind of how I took it. That baseball is the way to go. Like kids should play baseball. You know what I'm saying? Baseball is one of those sports I feel like that a baseball player can go out and play any other sport, but trying to get a basketball player to come play baseball, I don't know. I'm not gonna say you can't, LeBron, but I'm just gonna say like hitting 100-mile-per-hour. I mean, look at Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Like, and at the same time, don't get me wrong. I feel like if Michael Jordan would have got more years, like only focus on baseball, he would have been a wonderful.
He would have been the guy stole 32 bases in Double-A. Exactly. They don't realize how fast Michael Jordan is. Exactly. Nobody says, "Hey, he's a fast basketball player."
I think the three greatest athletes of all time: Jim Thorpe, Bo Jackson, and Deion Sanders.
Yeah, Jim Thorpe most definitely, man. Jim Thorpe, people would be sleeping on people like him, but most definitely him and Bo Jackson is like they were like guys that me as a young jit, I played Tecmo Bowl. I was always Bo Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to be the baseball, football. You know, guys just like them. Yeah, man. They were who I looked up to. You know what I'm saying? They were most definitely Deion Sanders.
Hey, do you talk about in your book Palm Beach turnaround when you had 16 triples, led the majors in AAA because they combined stats at that time? Was Palm Beach the biggest turnaround for you leading? And how fast were you even after your ACL back then, Adron? You know, they were just getting to be where you could, the medical part, because I'm actually going to Alabama Hall of Fame tomorrow in Birmingham, and Kerry Good's going to be there. He tore his ACL, and they just couldn't fix it back then in those days. But talk about that dynamic.
Well, the biggest thing that I was just telling a friend of mine, he had surgery and he was going through it still right now. I think he's like 5 years out. I told him that I didn't get fully like to where I got comfortable with it for like until like 4 years later. You know what I'm saying? 4 years. Wow. So I was still going through like the little bitty pains of like, you know, I have a long game. The next day it would be swole up. You know what I'm saying? Some days it wouldn't. So it kind of flare up sometimes. So I was still going through those woes. But I'm talking about, you know, 2009 if I had to pick a year, and I did in my book, if I had to pick a year, and I always go back and I think about this because in Little League is where it kind of switched on that I was different than everybody when I was in Little League by Coach Mike Hall. But for the baseball standpoint, you know, my first year in Johnson City, it was okay. You know, I still wasn't kind of like, you know, familiar with the transition from football to baseball. Quad Cities was the same, but it got better. You know, I kind of lasted longer in the season. I played the whole year. But Palm Beach most definitely was that year where it was like, you know, it clicked. You know, Stanton was with the Marlins. We shared the fields with the Marlins. So Stanton was over there with the Marlins. So he had all the hype. They say he was a football player. So I was like, I ain't got no excuse no more. You know what I'm saying? And then I had a guy by the name of Jeff Albert. He was the hitting coach for the Cardinals a few years back. And I actually lived with him, and he was our hitting coach. And it was his first time as a hitting coach for the Cardinals. And we studied baseball all night long. Do you hear me? He dissected my swing so great to where, I mean, my only home run of the year, and people probably don't even know this because obviously when you see home runs, you have to be there to kind of, you see the stat, but you don't know what happened. The first game, it was, you know, it wasn't the first game. It was one game where I always batted leadoff. And I had this bat that I was using, just playing around with in the cage. It was like 36 inches long. Like it was a humongous bat, right? But I was doing like the softball players. They would walk up and they would hit it. You know what I'm saying? Like a little slap shot. You know, they would be in the back of the box and they would walk up and hit it. I was doing that in the cages, playing around. And Coach, Jeff Albert, my hitting coach, he was like, man, like, first of all, like, you got great eye coordination to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Especially if somebody was to pitch. He said, you ain't gonna be able to do that in the game. And I was like, what? I can't do it in the game. So that I was the leadoff batter. We got 3 outs. I came up the very first pitch. I'm in the back of the box, and I walk up to it, and the pitcher throws a ball over my head like this high. And everybody in the stands, which wasn't a lot in Palm Beach, they were looking at me like, what is he doing? The very next pitch, I walk up and knock it 450 feet over the fence. Coach, the third base coach for the other team just looked at me and threw his hands up like this, like, what did I just see? So it was like, that's when it kind of like was like, okay, I can handle the stick, I can hit. I already could run with these boys, but that 2009 year was like, I built my confidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew I can play. And plus, we were playing that in Jupiter, which is spring training. So the field dynamic, it felt like a major league ballpark. You know what I mean? So 2000, and then I beat Curtis Granderson with the triples. So it was like, you know what? I belong here. You know what I'm saying? I felt like
you knew you belonged. Yeah, gave you confidence.
Yeah, man.
Hey, give a story, either about the Wizard, Ozzie Smith, Willie McGee, your favorite buddy, Yadier Molina, or even tell the Tony La Russa manager's story. Tell a story about one of those guys that our audience would love to hear.
Well, I got a good one with Bob Gibson. What's going on, man? How you doing? Yeah, man. How you doing, boss? It was Bob Gibson. We was in the World Series, man, and he was going out to throw the first pitch, and this is my first. Remember, you know, I go from Memphis to St. Louis, and we win a World Series. So I had never been in a spring training, you know, a big league spring training yet. So I didn't. And then Ozzie and all those guys, how you doing? Ozzie and all those guys really didn't come to spring training like that with Tony La Russa being there, because Ozzie and Tony, they didn't see eye to eye all the time. You know what I mean? Ozzie didn't start coming to spring training until Matheny got there, and then now you see him there all the time. But so that was my first time really seeing or meeting Bob Gibson. So he's in the dugout finna walk up to go throw the first pitch out, and he looks at me and he says, "Chambers," and I say, "What's up? How you doing, Mr. Gibson? You know what I mean? Pleasure meeting you." You know, he was very smart guy. You know, he was on point all the time. He said, "You want me to teach you how to hit an outside pitch?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." You know what I'm saying? Teach me how to hit outside pitch. So he grabbed my bat and he holds it and he sticks his butt out, way out like this. And then he holds the bat out like in front of him like a little wand. And he said, "This is how you hit an outside pitch." And everybody in the dugout started busting out laughing, dog. It was so crazy. Just seeing him bend down like that. I'm talking about he squatted all the way down.
Now the legend,
all the way
man.
back. You know what I mean? It was like he was a kid again. You know what I'm saying? It was like the kid again. And that's how I was when I was playing. I was like I wasn't, you know, David Freese or Albert Pujols. I had to find my place. You know what I'm saying? And I was I was like the kid. I was making everybody laugh. I was always trying to be the energizer. And to see him do that was like, wow, I'm pretty sure that's how he was when he played. He was serious, but he was able to make people smile too. You know what I'm saying? I miss him. I miss him like crazy. Bob Gibson is like one of my favorites. But I got many more. I got so many stories, man.
Oh man, that's a good combination to have, man. And I try to bring that to you got to have fun too.
You gotta have fun.
It can't be all serious. It can't be all. I just don't think that's productive in the long run. I know I had a couple coaches that were a lot of, you know, hard old school military types, but I coach a little bit different. Like you said one time, you try to pick the best out of those players, and your older brother is the best traits out of them. And it's the same thing with coaching. You try to pick the best qualities out of all your coaches and do the best you can. Wow. All right.
I had a great example of that last night, with the team that I'm working with now, the Mission Baseball. I got a 10U baseball team I'm coaching. And anybody watching this, man, if y'all want to help us out with Mission, man, please help us out.
What is it again?
You know? Mission Baseball. I send y'all the link. But it's a new travel baseball team. I've never been in the travel baseball world. It is a crazy experience right now. This travel baseball is berserk, man. But the way I like to coach, man, these boys are really learning. We had a kid last night by the name of Finley, man. I'm talking about, he's one of them kids that really want to get it, but then, the opportunity comes and he misses it and he gets so down on himself. Yesterday, he hit the crap out of the ball. I'm talking about, he's a little bitty guy like I was, and he hit the crap out of the ball, man. It was like one of those moments to where it was like he's getting it. You know what I mean? And again, the whole time, only thing I'm doing is trying to find the positive. What can I use to help him figure it out? That's all us coaches supposed. I mean, that's what I got from Coach Hobley.
Right.
Look, I wasn't the biggest all the time. I wasn't the fastest all the time. Well, sometimes I was the fastest. But it was like he was always trying to. I still remember this, Coach. You might not even remember this. We was in the dugout. Me, you, I think Coach Blake was in there. Or Coach Fair. Maybe it was Coach Fair. I don't remember. But we was in the dugout. And, man, you know how Yogi used to come to the field. I just seen Yogi the other day, matter of fact.
Wow.
And Yogi was probably the best left-handed pitchers I ever played with, me personally, in high school, most definitely. But as a youth, he was one of the best. But he would come to the field when he wanted to. I hope he watches this too. He used to come to the field when he wanted to. He kind of did his own thing. But Coach Hobley and Coach Blake, Coach Fett, they was always on. It was always on me. You know what I'm saying? They were always on me. So we sat down. We sat down in the dugout one night after practice. We used to have to go to the freshman locker room. I don't know if you remember that freshman locker room.
Yes, I do.
Locker room over there. Man, y'all, he came. They sat me down and they said, "Look, basically, we see you frustrated. We see that you're frustrated, but we want you to know that it's certain players that you can yell at and they understand, and there's certain players that you yell at and you kind of break their spirits. You're not that guy that we can break their spirit." And when he said that, I also had another coach remind me that, and that's Coach Mike Hall. It was because he was always on me, but I was always, yes, sir, and go out and I would try to accomplish whatever they were trying to do. But it was certain guys that if you get on them, Yogi Griffin sometime, he would kind of fall. You know what I'm saying? He would kind of get down and mad, and he might not even come back to the field. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
exactly.
I used those lessons that Coach Hobley had, and I seen it last night in my player. Trying to find what can I use to help spark him be the best player that he can be. You know what I'm saying? And Coach, you don't be understanding what you instill, man, but you instill little bitty nuggets inside of me that I will forever. I mean, you don't even remember, especially we made an error or something, you would say, turn and run. You will hit that mug way over the fence, Coach. Betting on the ball. So it's like, I mean, you instill so many things, man, to where now I implement that with these young, and not only does it work, Coach, I'm able to see it work. You know what I mean? It ain't just because it worked in me, but now I'm able to pass it along, and now I'm like, yes, that was true. You know what I'm saying? It's true, and whatever is true, you already know. It's gonna last forever. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you embody some great stuff. Yeah,
thank you, man. That's awesome tribute to Hobbs, man. That's awesome. All good coaches try to get better. Do that. Try to treat your player with respect, and you don't treat them all the same, but you treat them all fairly.
Exactly. And Adron, I think that was more for him. Thank you for saying that. But you're going to be frustrated.
Yeah.
And hanging there. You got some good kids out there.
Oh, I know.
That's where you're looking at one of the good kids out there.
Yeah. Awesome, Adron. Thank you for joining. Hey, how can they get your book? How can they order your book?
It'll be out on all platforms pretty soon. We're finishing the editing process, man. But I got a great team that I'm working with, man. Like I said, I just finished the writing part of it, man. Everything is done. It's crisp. Everybody loves it. Now it's just to find details of, making sure everything is straight. But pretty soon it'll be on all platforms. You know what I'm saying? Audio, you'll be able to get the hard copy, everything. It will be out on all platforms. So
from Pensacola to the World Series.
From Pensacola to the World Series. I want to buy the first 10 copies.
No doubt. I got you. Appreciate it. No doubt.
I'm making an order now.
No doubt. Appreciate that.
John, we'll see you around. Thank you for all you do now and giving back, brother. We love you.
Yes, thank you.
I love y'all.
All right, buddy. Peace out.
Coach. All right, peace.
See you, buddy.
All right.
Wow, that was awesome. isn't it? Huh? What a great guy. What a
Pensacola
great
to-
example. Pensacola to the
Yes.
World Series should be out pretty soon. So get you a copy. What a great show for Thursday night local sports report. On behalf of Coach Tripp or Coach Hobbs, I'm Coach Tripp. Hey, if you like the podcast, share it. Will you share the podcast? Share any of my podcasts. Go back to the archive shows that we have. I'm losing my voice, but thanks for watching the show. Yeah, Pensacola Tigers. All right, everybody. Thanks. Have a great sports weekend. Oh, Saturday, I'm actually going up to the Alabama Hall of Fame to see my old teammate, Kerry Good.
All right.
Be inducted in the Hall of Fame. He is full of wisdom. Of course, 9 years going with ALS, and we're hoping to start a segment coming up here soon called Good and Faithful Servant. That's actually the name of his book. You want to pick it up. I love this book. You got to read it. That's about it. Oh, Coach Al Miller reunion up in Bessemer at the Bright Star Restaurant Saturday at 12. I'll be there, so I'm heading out early. Actually, I'm going to do a rerun of Coach Al Miller Saturday at 10 o'clock that you don't want to miss. But
All right.
thanks, Hobbs. Thanks for coming by,
Yes,
buddy.
sir.
I want to thank Adron Chambers. Everybody have a great sports weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Stay tuned for these important messages. Without them, this just wouldn't be possible.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Arbitrium Consulting for all your fencing, landscaping, pressure washing, tree trimming needs. Call 850-483-0350 for your free estimates. Serving Pensacola, Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, Destin, Perdido, Gulf Shores, Foley, and the entire Gulf Coast. Arbitrium Consulting is owner-operated, fully licensed and insured. Call today, 850-483-0350, the official landscaper of Coach's Corner.
Hey, Bama fans, this is Will Moore, president of the Pensacola Bama Club. You can find us at PensacolaBamaClub.com. We are your official alumni chapter in the Pensacola and surrounding areas. Membership is available to all alumni and all Bama fans, so come see us at one of our many events throughout the year. Our Bama football watch parties are the next best thing to being in Bryant-Denny Stadium. We even serve authentic stadium hot dogs. Membership, event, and contact information will be found on our website at PensacolaBamaClub.com. Roll Tide.
Barnes Heating and Air is a proud sponsor of Alabama football, serving the entire Pensacola community for over 50 years. Barnes Heating and Air is passionate about providing customers with world-class air conditioning and heating repairs, sales, and installation. Barnes Heating and Air is family-owned, insured, and committed to quality. For a free estimate, call 478-0141. Barnes Heating and Air is #1 in customer service with service calls 7 days a week. Call Barnes Heating and Air, 478-0141, and roll Tide.
Did you know there's a place where you can get good neighbor service and surprisingly great rates on your home and auto insurance? Yep, and that place is, ta-da, State Farm. Here's the deal. State Farm agent Will Rentschler is your go-to agent in Pensacola, Florida for the service you deserve at the price that you want. So stop shopping around. State Farm agent Will Rentschler has you covered. Call 850-433-4678 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Legal disclaimer, individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Over 30 years, you have seen the orange Beck signs all over the Gulf Coast listing a property for sale or lease. Beck Partners is your trusted advisor in commercial real estate, property management, commercial and personal insurance. Senior Vice President David Valletto has been with Beck Partners since 1989. Take advantage of his wealth of knowledge by calling him today at 982-7352. 982-7352. Extensive experience in all aspects of leasing, sales, management, and site selection will make sure your expectations are exceeded.